I am back again after local hack table. Oops, the banner still seems to be on. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Looks so funny on me right now. And ta-da! All right, so hello everyone. I am back after local hack day build. We had tons of fun there. I know you all love these streams. So what we've heard is that you all had such a great time on these streams. Of course, the speakers were so great, but we are back with a bunch of other stuff for you in the month of March. We're trying out a different thing right now. We want you to have all the fun on these streams, and we want to continue this process throughout the day and throughout the month on each day in March. So what we're trying here is every day we'll bring up new challenges, new content for you to learn and follow along with us as we struggle and debug our way through the code. But before we move on, I want you all to do a ton, like 3 things that I mentioned in Discord. But don't worry, if you haven't already done that yet, I'll do it with you. So to give you a little more context, we'll be running these challenges for the entire month. So come back every day for some more if you are interested. Whatever you're interested in, there's a bunch of other stuff out there. So just keep an eye out for the interesting content that we have and join us every day. Now, what we are doing here today. Today, we're going to add authentication to your Android application. But this is not going to be an easy challenge. So again, it's Ashrika's challenge. We'll do it with a twist every time we have that. So we'll start with something simple. We'll keep it beginner friendly. We'll learn all the basics, and then we'll try out something new. I mean, might not be the best way to debug on stream, but we are all up for the challenges. We will do it. Okay. Yes, I see that all of you love this particular EDM music. I, for one, I'm a pretty big fan of that. Okay, we have a question that says, where do you get this good music? I mean, would you believe me if I said that I am the DJ and I produce this good music? No, not happening. Okay, all right. I mean, I tried. Okay. Oh, is it lagging? Sorry if it is still lagging. Let me know if it's still lagging in the comment section, then I'll try to fix it for you. Comment section, help me out here. Is my voice lagging? Okay, let us see. Let's fix that for you real quick. This should not be the good experience that we want. Is it better now? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Everyone, am I audible? Hello. Awesome. I'm glad that it's better. All right. For now, it's good. I hope that it still remains good. Otherwise, I'll sue my network provider for doing this to us up on stream. We'll not let them kill our vibe, right? All right. So as I was saying that, okay, all right. I am glad that it's better and it's good now. So, all right. So we were talking about the March challenges. In case that my voice was stuttering, apologize for that. Let's start all over again. What I was saying was, we had such an incredible time in local hack day build. We were up on stream all day, and you folks seem to love it and enjoy it. But of course, for the speakers, of course, I already said that. But this month we are running month-long challenges where we'll try. Oh, hi Shrikaran. Sorry, some folks. I mean, I remember some folks from local hack day build, so just reading them out. Anyways, so yes, we are working on these challenges for the entire month. Every day there's new content for you all to learn something new, learn something better. And if you like that, please come. Again, every day there's something new for you in store. Today we're going to add authentication to your Android application, and we'll do in a couple of simple steps. We'll try this challenge. We'll focus on very simple steps first, so that it's like very beginner friendly for you all. If you're just starting with Android applications, don't worry, this is a beginner friendly workshop. I'll try and guide you through the entire bit. What we'll do is, first, we'll complete some steps which I mentioned on Discord. If you are not on Discord, please do join our Discord channel. For now, I can share that banner with you all so that it helps you, with that. Anyways, so we'll do it all together if you've not already registered. If you are a sweetheart just like me, you would have registered. But if not, don't worry at all. we will do it together today. So, everyone, ready? I want all the hype in the comment section, folks. This is how we're gonna start. We had the idiom music. We have all the hype. Let's get set and try out a different March challenge today. Today we're gonna add authentication to the app, but before that, we're gonna register, check in, do all that bunch of stuff, and then move on with our challenge. Does that sound good, everyone? Yes, I can see all of you folks are already hyped up. I mean, I don't even have to call it out. Wonderful. All righty, let's start. Let me just quickly share my screen first and then we can start. All right. Yes. Awesome. Okay. Where is it? All right. Okay, up on stream. There we go. Wow. All right, let me just zoom in on a little bit. Oops, too much. Yeah, perfect. All right, so as you can see my screen, let's just focus on this message that I've just posted. If you're on Discord, you would see this message. If you're not on the MLH Discord, what are you doing out there? Go ahead and join. It's discord.mlh.io. Easy peasy. Just head over to discord.mlh.io and join us for our March events, weekend hackathons, and so much more. All right. Okay. So let's just start with this particular section where you see my message. I created a lot of hype for you all. We've already started. So the first thing that we need to do is check in on the March challenges links. I'm opening that up. And the next thing would be to check in on the sessions page, which is my session. The link is there too, but if you want, you can also head over. Like if you want to type it out, don't worry, I'll add the link to the screen. I've created a short link for you all because, I mean, it's better that way, isn't it? All right, so you can register now on hackp.ac/auth challenge. And let me put that banner up so that it's easier for you to see that. Okay, so you can check in on March challenges and then also check in on the auth challenge page, which will lead right to the organization page. But wait, let me guide you through the entire process because I'm amazing. Wait, I'll do that with you all. Okay, let's remove this from the screen, share the entire screen, and there you go. Application window. All right, so when you click on the MLH March Challenges tab, it'll take you right to this page. Okay, let me add it to the stream. There you go. And you can see the MLH March Challenges page where, there are a bunch of events in the description. You can find out what you want to looking for. There are more events coming soon, but for now, it's like a week thing. So every week we'll be posting different events, different challenges for you all to participate in. Right now, we are on day 2 of March challenges. Isn't that exciting? So head over to the 2nd March, Firebase authentication in Android apps with Sashrika. And there is the link that you would want to use. So head over to this link. And first, before heading over to this link, wait, we'll register and check in, folks. You should already be logged into your MLH account. If not, please do so. And then click on the register and check in button. And it turned green. We are checked right in. Wonderful. All right, now we'll go to this link, which is organize.mlh.io, add user authentication to your app. This is the second link that we opened up. And now once you register for the March challenges, this is where you're going to register and check in next. All right, so let me reshare my screen again. Okay. Yeah. So we are here on this page. What you need to do is you can either head over to the link to the multiple channels that I told you about, or you can go ahead and try down auth challenge, just like I did here. I'll take you to the same page that I am. I'll head right over here. There's another button which is register and check in right on this page. So go ahead, friends, show some love, register and check in for this event, and then we'll be starting in no time at all. All right, so now we're checked in for this event as well. And that's it. That's all we were supposed to do to check in. Now, the other thing that you have to do would be to head over to twitch.mlh.io, which you're already at. So we're all done with the first 3 tabs that I mentioned in the Discord. So Everyone, are you all excited to start with the particular challenge that we are here for you today? That is here for you today. So just give me a second. Let's get rid of this banner. All of you folks, everyone who's just joining in, we just registered and checked in. That's all we did for now. Don't worry, you didn't miss out on anything. So if you want to go ahead and participate with us in this March challenge, please check in on hackp.ac/March challenges. And you can also register and check in now at hackp.ac/auth challenge. And then we'll proceed with the challenge that we are here for today. All right. Okay. So there's another question that everyone is doing good, and I don't have an app to add authentication to. Don't worry. First, let's try to learn all the basics of authentication. Once you do have an app, you can, of course, add it to that app as well. For now, we'll just create a dummy app. That's what I'm going to do, and just add the authentication feature to it. We learn how to do that, and then these bits and bits features. What is the best about learning Android application that way is that you learn a particular feature, and then whenever you want to apply it to any other application, you know how to do it. So all you need to do is refer to your previous code, or find out the docs online. But since you already have that experience, all you need to do is recreate that particular feature into your new app, and that's it. It's done. It's same for all the other. You can do the same for all the other application, and you can change the UI. You can tweak around with it. It's pretty easy. It's very simple. Can I share the link of the auth? The auth challenge, you mean? It's there on the screen. I can share it for you all in the comment section as well. hackp.ac/March challenges. There you go. Oops, I think I misspelled. 1 second. Let's try it again. hackp.ac/March challenges. Right. And I think she can already shared it for the other one. But if you want, I can share it on other channels too. It's already there on the screen below. And by recreate, I mean, sometimes we do copy paste, but the fact is, when I say recreate, you already know how to do that, right? So it's like you already understand the code. The only thing that you need to know is the syntax. And if you're new to a language, for example, today I'll be referring to Kotlin, but if you want to do it in Java, that's pretty easy too. It's your call. It's your wish. The only thing that you need to know about developing applications is that when you're trying to work through in one language and shift to another one, the basics remain the same. So what you need to understand is the syntax, and that is something which you refer to as copy pasting. But point is that the basics remain the same. Since we understand the basics, we know how it works, we can make changes, and that's how we debug. So right now that you all are checked in, let's just quickly begin with this particular section. So I'm sharing my screen, but just a second. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, cool. So let me just share my screen and get ready for this particular segment. There we go. Alrighty. So let me come back here and see if you can see my screen. Okay. It's still not visible. Is it? Is it visible now? All right. So yes. So what I did right here was half of my screen is covered with Android Studio, and then the other half of the screen is covered with yes, the other half of the screen is covered with the comment section. Oh God, why do you use light theme? No particular reason for that matter. So the thing is, I mean, I don't have a very good answer for using light theme. It's just that I like it better, even though I know it's like not great on the eyes for some reason. I don't like the dark theme very much. It's just a matter of personal preference. I mean, there's not a very good answer. I'm pretty sure like dark theme is better for the eyes. It's great. It's amazing. I'm a huge advocate of using dark theme, but I just like this better. I mean, it gives me a clear picture on where things went wrong. Yes, slide theme is also easy to read on phone. So great. Awesome. Thank you for supporting me, folks. Yes, of course. I mean, don't judge me, but this is just who I am. All right. So we were talking about building an Android application. Right now, I've already created this application and I've left some sections out and commented all of those for you so that we can work through it better. But don't worry, I'll guide you through the entire process so that you can, create this application and recreate it on your own page itself. This is just so that we save some time and we focus on the content that really matters for us to, create that application. Some of you would be starting from scratch, building the application from the basic, just to recreate the just to add on again and authentication and recreate it. Sorry about that. Sorry about the stutter. But some of you would be adding this feature to your application. So I wanted to cater all of you and focus on the main content. So if you are creating this application for the first time and recreating it, what you need to do is click on File and you click on New, or let's say you are opening Android application for the first time, and then you just click on New Project. When you're creating a new project, it'll take you to a page, and then I hope that you can see it. I'm not sure if you do. Yes, you can. Wonderful. All right. So yes, there would be an empty activity. Choose that empty activity. Click on Next. Simple. Name your application. The package name would change, of course. So let's say you named your application Auth App. If you already have an application, you can just sit tight for a couple of minutes and skip this step, of course, and then choose your preferred language. I, for one, like Kotlin a lot. I'm a huge advocate of Kotlin. I love that language. It's very easy to write. It's easier to, it saves me a bunch of code and it saves me a bunch of time. So I love that. But it's like your particular preference, which you, so in case you don't have an Android Studio, I suggest you can download one right now. Android Studio might take a while to set up if you're building your first application. The first will generally takes a couple of minutes. I'll not lie, it took me a lot more, but I mean, you can try out. So download Android Studio right now, and don't worry, follow along this video. If you want, you can refer back to it again once your things are set up and you have downloaded everything and you're starting off. So for now, keep Android Studio on download, let it run in the background, and come back here and follow along with us. All right, we're not going to start a war here with Flutter and Android. All right, Flutter is easier. I mean, I'm not going to start a war with Android and Flutter. We're trying to add authentication to an Android application. That's what we're trying to learn here. Cool. All right, everyone. So as soon as you've done and set everything up, you can add a minimum SDK and click on Finish. Once you click on Finish, it'll create an application. So it takes a little while if you're starting off with Android Studio, a couple of minutes, because it's downloading all the Gradle files. And it'll take a little time, but then once you're done, you have this page which is ready, and it somehow looks something like this, right? And this is what it looks like at the start when you set it up. Right now, we'll be working on adding all of the authentication features that we wanted to, and then we'll write all the code for it. So first off, before we build this application, before we add authentication to it, we would like to focus on getting the right information from our users. So for now, you can have any registration data that you want to. I'm going to focus on the basics. So for now, let's just say I want an email and a password. I want the user to set up an email and a password, and then they would have an option to either log in or sign up. That means I need two buttons, which is a login and a sign up button. And yes, so I'm adding the auth using Firebase. Just give me a second, I'll explain it. Soul Ninja is in a lot of hurry today. All right, so, oh, you have an exam tomorrow. Oh, okay, I see. Sorry about that, but I'll try to keep it brief. Cool. So let's see. Okay, all right. So we're focusing on the activity first. Now, a couple of things just to give anyone who's just starting off with Android a brief on that front. In an Android application, this is how your project structure would generally look like. There is an app folder. In that, there is a Java folder and an auth app. There's another directory. There you can see your main activity. Right now, we're writing the code in Kotlin. You can prefer a Java. This would be a Kotlin. This would be a Java file then. If you want to look at the resource file, which is the activity main file. This is what your activity main file might look like. Not exactly the same, of course. I've added the edit text buttons and the image button already to it. But most of all, it'll look like something like this, where you can write your XML code and create the UI for your application. I went pretty basic. Like, I am no designer, so don't judge me based on the design, all right? You can just add colors and add images and add everything that you want to your application, but don't judge me based on my design. I'm here to demo you all the Firebase things. So yes, so it's Kotlin compiled to Java. See, so what happens is, if, I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly, but why I prefer Kotlin is, even if you like write Java code here, it gets converted into Kotlin, and then it is compiled in that way. It's easy to write, and you don't have to like write a bunch of code to access different things. I'll give you an example to show you how that happens. All right, so we're talking about this. Now, we need a simple view, everyone. In the simple view, we want to have like 2 text fields where they can enter their email, they can enter their password, and then we want them to either log in or sign up based on what they, if they're coming to the app for the first time, or if they are here for here to just log in and check on their data, or log into their profile to do something with your app. All right, so what we need is an edit text, another edit text, which is a text password. Then we need a layout where we want an image button and then another image button. The first image button is the login button. The second image button is the sign up button. You can make a UI as you want. Right now, I created something basic. So everything is like match parent, wrap content. Match parent is like matching the parent layout that we have. Here, it's the linear layout. So it matches the overall theme. The edit text is in wrap content, which means it'll take as much space as is required. Then I also added a layout gravity. The thing that we need to focus on, that all of your elements should have an ID. So for example, the edit text has an ET email ID. The edit text here has an ET password ID. Then the image button also has a BTN login ID. And this one also has a BTN sign up ID, right? So all of this is set up. You can tweak around, change, add color to it, change the images. Probably you want to switch the edit text or not. Can I copy paste my activity on the gist or something? I mean, it's pretty easy. It's not something that you would want to copy paste. It's like create your own edit text you want. So the only thing that you need is 2 edit text and 2 buttons, right? And the other thing, so how I got the edit text to align vertically and the other one horizontally is that I added an orientation tag to it. So it's pretty easy. If you want, of course, I'll share it with you all after this stream so that you can get access to the code. But it's actually pretty simple. I would love if you can try it on your own. I would highly recommend if you could try it on your own for this one. But I mean, you can tweak around. You can add more things to it. Oh, this is XML, so don't worry about the activity main file. I mean, even if you don't know Kotlin, I mean, it's pretty easy if I'll explain it to you. I'll also show you a similar code in Java if that helps. All right, so the entire activity is ready. So this is something that I don't want to spend too much time in, because this is something which would be specific to your application. The login page and everything would be specific to your application. I wanted to focus on the Firebase bit of it, so that you understand how you can add authentication to it. All right, so let's just come back right here. Since the activity main file is already ready, we added the vertical orientation so that all the edit texts are aligned, and also the buttons are aligned as well. So this page is, for once, is settled. It's, of course, it's something that would change in your application, but this is the gist of it. It should contain an edit text for email and an edit text for password, and you can also add an input type to ensure that it comes. It looks the same way. So if you're adding a password, it immediately changes into a star, so that the input type is correct. So just add all these things. You can add different things as well, different elements to it as well, and make it your own. So let's talk about adding Firebase to your application, right? So there are 2 ways in which you can add Firebase to your application. One would be to use the internal tool that they have in Android Studio, which is pretty easy. There's an assistant that can help you out. Or you can go ahead and do it manually by creating an application on the console, connecting your app to your Firebase console, and then going forward from there. I'll use the assistant for this one, and I'll explain the other one for you all so that if you are trying it either way, you don't have to face any more issues. Right? All right, so this code is not on GitHub since I didn't anticipate that you might need the code for this particular section since it's like we're working on just a feature. What I can do for you is, I'm not exactly sure what I can do for you now. Right now, we're working on a few steps. Do you want the XML file code? It's pretty easy. So what we can do is, meanwhile that I'm creating walking you through the main activity file, what you can do is work on your activity main code. If you're stuck somewhere, I'm here to help you out. We'll walk through this entirely. So just try it out and then work on us. No main activity. You don't need the main activity. You need the main activity Kotlin. Does Firebase also have a database available? It stores emails. Yes. So there are two things. Firebase uses a database for your authentication as well, where it stores users' emails. If you want to use database for different purposes and you want to store that data, Firebase also has a wonderful real-time database feature which you can update, or a cloud data store if you want. Either of those are good, like based on your preferences, based on what you want out of your application. There are tons of other things. Let me guide you through them. But again, first we'll add the Firebase to our application, and the second part of it was what I was talking about was that there's another way that you can add Firebase to your application if you don't want to use the assistant, and that is creating one on console and then adding to it. Like either way, I'll guide you through how you can do that. But for now, let's just understand how you can do it the easy way, which is just using the tool on Firebase here. So click on Firebase, and it'll open up an assistant right here. Okay. Streaming and using Android Studio is not that easy. It's hard on my laptop for sure. All right. So there are tons of features that you can see in this Firebase assistant. So there's analytics, authentication, there's real-time database, cloud file store, etc., etc. If you want to add ML to it, they have amazing ML kit that you can use. Then these crashlytics are basically to get more information about your Android application. If your Android app crashes, or some users complain about your application, so this is an easy way to monitor all of that stuff. There are other in-app messaging features and AdMob, etc. You can try out all of these features, as many as you want. Right now, we focused on this particular section. We want to initialize the sign-in and the sign-up feature from the authentication. So there, when you click on this, it'll give you a few options, which is Google sign-in, Facebook login, custom authentication. Like for now, we're just using it to connect to Firebase, so you can use either of the one. It also includes the steps to add code to your application to actually complete the entire process. But right now, we're referring to different kind of, we're trying to use a button login to add that kind of code. So, the only thing that we need to do is connect to it. So as you can see that it's already connected to my Firebase app. Whatever I'm trying. Is there a question? Sorry. Oh, I thought there's a question on stream. All right. So it's already connected to the Firebase app, but for now it's connected. But here would be a connect button that you can click on. Once you click on that connect button, it'll take you to your Firebase console, where you will see another button, and it just says connect. Once you click on that, that's it. That's how you get connected to Firebase. The assistant is easy. On the back end, what happens is that you create a console application, and your application is connected to that. So it also asks you to add the SHA key to it, which is your project's server key, which is the third step right here. There's also a SHA key that you can, and there's a private key that you have to generate in order to connect your applications. So it's easier to use the assistant this way because it takes you step by step through it if you're starting along. But if you want to, there's also already a console present. You've already set everything up. All you need to do is connect both of those applications through that SHA key fingerprint. So let me quickly show you the Firebase console for a little moment and guide you through all of it so that it'll help you out understand what I'm referring to here. 1 second. Let's see. All right, so this looks like, so I've already created that project overview, which I said. So once you connect your app, it'll take you to a page, it will ask you to add the project name. You add your project name, and then it creates another page right here, which basically is your console. And once you connect to it, it'll basically it'll take you back to your Android Studio where you can add code to it, and it'll show a green step which says connected. So that is easy on that front. But if you are adding it manually, there's a settings button right here. You can reach to the project settings button, and as you can see, one app is already connected. Let's just say that this app was not connected. So what you can, if this app was not connected, you can add an app through this button, and it'll take you to a bunch of 5 steps. They'll ask you to add information, and then it'll download a Google Services JSON file. This Google Services JSON file is what help you to connect that. So if this file is right here, you come back to your Android Studio, and you can see that it's already, oops, I think it's not on the stream. Sorry, friends. Sorry about that. Now, can you see it? Cool. So then this is what your console looks like. Once you create your console, it looks like a little bit like this. It's got all these features, monitoring, and it's one app is already connected to it since we did it already. But if you want to connect to it through your project settings, so just go back here in the project settings section. There is another section which says your apps. So as you can see, auth app is already connected, the one that we created. But if you want to add your app again manually, click on this add app section. All right. So let's say we're adding an Android app. I'm trying to show you how it looks like. I'm not going to add another file, but it looks like simply like this. So you add your package name, which would be something, for me, it was com example. And then we added the auth app name, but it would be different for you. So check that out. You can check it out on top of your main activity, or if you want, you can check out the package name in the directory as well. Name your Android application, and this is your SHA key, which for now you can leave it as optional. This is a debug key, which once you publish your application, you can add it here. Then you can download the config file, add the Firebase SDK, and then the next step. So once you're on the download configuration file, that is the Google JSON file that I just referred to. The Firebase SDK is another step that we'll add. It is in our Android Studio that we're going to do so. So let me just come back to your Android Studio and show you how that is done. Okay. Right, share screen. And this is the Android Studio. Right, so we want to add the Firebase authentication SDK to the app. It is telling me to add this particular dependency and accept those changes. If I add this dependency, my work here would be done, and the Gradle sync is in process. Now let me show you how your Gradle looks like. So this is your application Gradle, and there are a couple of things that are already added here. So I'll show you what all implementations do you want to add, what all dependencies do you want to add before you work on Firebase. It's actually just 2. So there is this bomb, a Firebase bomb, a dependency that we need to add, and the other one is Firebase auth that you can add. I've also added analytics, but that's for a completely different feature altogether. You don't need to add that if you don't want to. The only 2 things that you want to focus on is Firebase auth, and the other one is Firebase bomb. If you want to follow the follow up and find out these implementations, either you can use this, since the Gradle sync is already in progress and is running. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and so once you click on this add Firebase authentication to your app button, it'll ask you to add this to your Gradle. You accept the changes. It adds it to the build Gradle file. This is what your build Gradle looks like. The Gradle sync is already in place. The only 2 files that you need to focus on, as I said, was the Firebase bomb file, which is this first one, and the other one is the Firebase auth file, which is the second one. So you can also see Firebase analytics, but it's something that if you want to, you can add. It's for a completely different purpose. You don't need to have that in your application. So these are the 2 things that we need to focus on if you're adding the authentication feature to your Firebase application. And this is what your Gradle would look like after that, somewhat like this. All right. So since we are through with this particular step, next up is that we have to enable our email sharing feature through our console. If you want to follow along, a great resource that I would recommend would be, again, the Google documentation. The Google documentation for using Firebase is pretty much amazing. It contains all the information. Let me add that to the StreamYard so that you gives you a better idea of what all I just mentioned right now, and I'll help you all follow along. All right. So I've already added this to the chat room. You can refer to it. Once you want to authenticate Firebase using a password-based account, first what we did was add our dependencies to it. And then what we did was we were working on adding code to our console and working through our console for now. So let's just first enable the feature on our console, and then we'll come back on our Android application and write some code on Android Studio. All right, folks? Cool. So let me quickly share my screen again. And all right. Okay, so as you can see, there's I went to the project settings, and this is the project settings section which we see. So what we need is we go to the service account section. This is the first thing that we need to do if you've not already done this. If you've already connected it and you've already done it, you can skip this step. Feel free to skip that step. Here we just create our new private key, generate a new private key, and download it for our system. It'll connect our Firebase to our project and give them basically it'll authenticate the multiple Firebase features that we have. So all you need to do is click on generate private key, and it'll download that private key and set it up on your account. So this is one thing that you need to do if you're connecting it to Firebase. Once you're through with that, there is this authentication built up under the build section. There is an authentication tab. Click on that authentication tab and it'll take you here. So right now there are no users for our project. Of course, nobody signed in. So in your sign in method, as you can see, the email and password is already enabled. But if it's not, you click on enable right here and click on save. So if it's disabled, click on enable and save it. Right? This would enable the features. Also, what I would like to point out is that you can see that there's phone, Google, Play Games, Game Center, Facebook, tons of other ways in which you can allow your users to log into your application. So if you're working through your way through this, you want to try out different things. Right now, we just focus on adding a simple email password bit, but if you want to try out other things as well, go ahead, feel free to do so. There's an option to add Google sign in, another option to add GitHub sign in, which is quite common in applications, as you can see. So these are the way that you can, try it out. So let's see. Yes, under the authentication section, how to reach that is under the authentication sections. There is a sign in method, and in this email password, which is already enabled, you click on it, and if it's disabled, enable it and click on save. So the other options that I just mentioned are right up there on screen. And if you want to have a look, please log into your console and you can see all of this right there. All righty. So now that we are through with setting up our console is in place, friends. Console is already set up. Now we would have to worry about writing the code for our Android Studio and then running our application. Very easy, pretty simple, easy steps. You can, if you want to follow, if you are still facing difficulties following along, I've added a link to the document that I'm referring to, which is the Android password authentication doc, the same one, which is their official documentation. And it's pretty easy to follow along. So try it out. And what we can do is we'll pause here for a bit. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask that and post them in the comment section. And then we'll work through the code and then we'll build our application on Android Studio. Ooh, that was like a bunch of information that we had. So just recapping a couple of steps. First step, we connect to Firebase. You can use the toolkit which is already installed which is already there in the Android Studio. The other way is by generating the private key and adding app feature, which I just demoed. So there are the two things that you might want to try out. The third thing that you can do is the third thing that you have to do after that. So if your app is connected and your dependencies are installed, you are done with the 2 steps. The third thing that you would want to do is you want to enable which kind of authentication you want your users to apply through. If you want an email and password authentication, it is right there. If you want another one, which is like a Google sign-in feature or a GitHub sign-in feature, that step is also something which is available for you all to work through. So we're focusing on the email one right now. refer to the code base. If you have any questions, I'll give you another minute to just read out the documentation again if you want to and follow along. If you have any questions, feel free to ask that in the comment section, and I would love to answer that for you. Cool. All righty. What I can do is I can also show you the documentation and guide you through it so that you are very thorough with the steps that we did up until now. It can be a little overwhelming at first, but trust me, it's very, very simple and easy. So this is the screen that will take you up to. There are other features that you can try. There's the Google sign-in feature, the Facebook login, Apple login, anything that you want to try out here. But if you haven't already, add Firebase to your Android project. I just gave you a brief on how you can do that. The other part is that if you haven't connected your app to the Firebase, you can do so through the Firebase console. I showed you how to do that. So if you want to add Firebase to your project, you want to add the dependencies, if you want to connect your app to the Firebase, you want to add your app to the Firebase console and save the Google services JSON file. Pretty simple. 2 steps, and then you have to enable the password sign-in to the Firebase console option. So these are the 3 steps that we did. We also added the Firebase form and the Firebase auth implementation key app implementation libraries in our dependencies, and we are done with this particular step. So now we're focused on writing the code and moving on with that section, right? Alrighty, let's just focus on that now. So I hope that you all are ready with this up until now. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section, and I would love to help you out with them. Whew. I'm trying to actually be very specific and very detailed with all of the information because I can understand it can be overwhelming if you're not very familiar with building Android applications all at once. So I'm trying to keep it up until the minimum basics so that it can help you out. If you want some more context on anything at all that I just mentioned up until now, feel free to ask that in the comment section, and I would love to help you out. Okay. All right. So meanwhile, if you do have questions, feel free to put them in. Let's just continue and work on another bit that we wanted to. There we go. Okay, so now that all of this is done, we will work on writing some code. This particular segment is actually easy for you all to connect. Okay, let's see. Right. Great. I hope that you can see my screen. If not, please mention so. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to set it up for you all so that I can also see your comment section. And if you have any questions, I can answer them alongside. So now let's just close the system because we're done with the first 3 steps and we're now focusing on the code, only on the code. So right now, what we want to do is we already have, let's say our user typed in the email and the password, right? Now, either we want to ask them to sign up or we want to set up the login feature. Pretty easy, simple 2 features that we want to put right in. So for the first one, if you want the user to log in, we want to get the email and password from our edit text and then use the Firebase authentication feature to send that email password and help the user log in. If he's not already logged in, we would want to, use the sign up feature. So we want to implement that as well. So let's just first focus on the BDN login. Now I'm writing code in Kotlin. If you want to do it in Java, this is where you'll see the entire difference, which I'm talking about. So if you're working with Java for implementing the on-click listener, what you need to do is you need to find view by ID, use the ID to get that view here on your Java file, and then set up the on-click listener and then add all those functions that you want. But with Kotlin, what you can do is you can use the ID directly and then set an on-click listener on it. So right now I used an image button for the BTN login. If you remember in the XML file, in our BTN login button, what we did was there was an image button that we created, and right now we're setting an on-click listener to it. What does the on-click listener feature do is function do is that once you click on that button, it'll listen to it and then it'll perform certain set of actions which you're going to write the code for. So the first thing that we want here is the email. And what that email would be is we want to get this email from our edit text, which is already there. Right, so let's get that first. So we named it ET email. Okay, it's a little slow. ED email, and we want to get text from it. In Kotlin, so in Java, you use the get text function. Here, you simply write text and you convert it into a string. So this is one way. This is the first thing that we want from the edit text. Whatever the user typed in, or whatever email he typed in, we want to get that, and we want to store it in a variable. So here we stored it in email, and for the password, we also get it the same way. So ed password dot text dot toString. Now we want to get, we have the email ready, we have the password ready. What we now want is to create an instance for the Firebase authentication, and then send the email and password, and then log into our own account, right? So we have the Firebase auth here, we get its instance. Now the next up is there are multiple functions that you can use. So let's just look at the functions for once, right? You can sign in with email password, which we want to do for this one, but just let's look at other functions as well. So there's an auth state listener and other functions that you can see. Like for example, there's a confirm password reset. So if you want to give the users that functionality that they can reset their password, this is a function that you want to use for that. You can create the user with the email password, fetch other sign-in options, etc., etc. So there, as you can see, there are tons of other functions that you can use if you want to send a reset email. All of this is already built in, and it's there for you to use and add to your application. So it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, and this is what you want to do. So for now, we want to focus on signing in with the email and password, right? And to sign in with that email and password, we need, what it's asking for is, I think, 2 domain. Yeah, so it's asking for 2 of their 2 arguments. One would be the email, sending the email, and the other one would be password, which we are trying to send. And now it has a couple of other functions as well. So to click on dot, and you see it's the non-success listener, a non-failure listener, and non-cancel listener. Let's add 3 of those to it, and I'll explain what you can do once you do add them into your for your application, right? So once you add the on success listener, which we use right now, this is another one. Let's say what happens if it fails. So there is an on failure listener for you all. Right, and what happens if it gets cancelled for some reason and it results into a process failure, for example, it was not able to finish the authentication process, and that means that the user is not logged in. So in all of these cases, you can see that there is an auth result or an exception which arose, and we want to handle our cases appropriately. So with this function, the user can sign in through that email and password into the Firebase account and into your application. So on success listener, right now, what I'll do is, just to make it easier, I'll add a toast here, make text. Toast for everyone is just a simple pop-up, which will, it's not like a pop-up, it's more like a intimation to the user that, all right, you logged in. What we can do is, what it needs is, first it needs the context. So we'll add this here, which is context right here. It is the context of this activity. The activity class is extended from context, so it can from the main activities and app compact activities, then extended to it, so it has context in this case. Now for the text that we might need to add here. The text that we want to add here is, say, something like login successful. We have login to our account, and the duration. For now, let's use the toast duration that we already have. So simple as it. You can add any duration that you want, how much duration you want the toast to be live. But for now, we'll just use this particular segment. Okay, and an all failure listener, we'll add a simple toast if you want to. using it the same way. There you go. But in this case, it'll say login unsuccessful. Now, I've added a toast that might not be the same for you. For the first one, you can say login successful and also create an intent to change your activity and move to the next segment where they can view their profile. It's according to your application. Since we've not created all those activities, I'll just add a toast right here for now. But you can add another intent and then take your app to another activity and then proceed further with all your application features that you want to add. For the failure listener, you can also try, to give a pop-up. Okay, login was unsuccessful. Please try again. Now, the best part, the good part about this is that you can also print your stack trace, which means you can find out what the exception is, and according to those exception, you can, tell the users what they need to do in order to fix this, so that it does not result in a failure again. For example, they added the incorrect ID and password, so the stack trace would include that. All you need to do is give them a pop-up, and the toast would say, "Hey, can you please log in again with the correct ID and password?" Something like that. And that is how you add on the failure list. On cancel listener, again, you can check out what the reasons that it got cancelled, and then give the user a heads up on that front. On cancel listener, you might want to take the users back again to an activity where they probably need to sign up or do something of that front. So you can try out this particular section. If you don't want, we'll just remove. We can remove the on cancel listener and just make it for on success, on failure. If you want to do it in this, but there's also another thing that you can do is you can do an on completed listener and then handle both of these cases. But I like it better this way since the code is more readable, right? So now that we're through with this particular segment, we can also use the button sign up and recreate it the same way. So what I would do is I would pause here for a moment, and I would give you all a chance to review this code and then understand how it works. If you have any questions, please do ask them in the comment section, and then we'll move on and implement the sign up feature. Once we're through that, we'll see what the next steps are and we'll work on those together. All right, Fredos. So if you're still stuck in the Firebase, if you're still stuck with connecting the Firebase, I've added the link to the comment section. You can refer to those and connect again. I tried to be as thorough with the multiple ways as possible. If you want, we can go back and talk more about them. And this is the code that we have written to implement the login feature. Very easy. We created an instance, and then we got access to the instance, and then what we did was implement the sign-in feature. And for now, we've just used the toast, which just would tell us that a login was successful. Post which, if you want, we can also think about, adding more features to it. For example, resetting password feature, or adding another feature which would authenticate these emails by sending an email to it and getting a confirmation from the users. So there are tons of other things that you can try out, and it's all there on the Google documentation if you want to refer to. I just wanted to follow you along with this entire process so that you understand it better. All right, so let's wait for a couple more moments. Have a look at the code. Let me just zoom in a bit for you. Okay, I've done it's visible for now. I definitely try to. Okay, so this is the entire code base which you can refer to. And for now, we've implemented the login feature. We'll work on the sign up right in a couple of minutes. So just giving you a little moment. Let me just make the screen bigger. Yeah, great. So you can see it right now. The code is already up on stream. Please take time to review this, and then we'll move on further. So now that you had a little time to review the code and look at it, Can you take a guess? Not actually, not take a guess. Can you actually write some code for the sign up feature? Because it's absolutely similar to this one, and it's easier to do so when you're doing it together. So, do you want to try it out and check how you can do this? Okay, give it a go, and I'll walk you through it. So take a moment, give it a go. It's actually a similar code with that. The functions are already present. Just a hint, instead of the sign in with email and password, we're going to be using create user here because we want to sign our users in. So we're going to do that. And hey, I mean, your name is Office Nike, so I'm not sure what your real name is, but hey, thanks for joining in. All right. So follow along and review this code. It'll take a moment. The reason that I'm taking all these moments is that so that you can grasp in all the concepts and you can also grasp in the steps that we used to implement this feature. Right? Okay. Cool. So now that we have had a moment to analyze all our code, let's just move on and write some code for this particular section. Again, of course, right now I'm trying to uh, I'm actually trying to get everything in. So if you want, you can make a one instance for this. But for now, let's just do all the things that we did in the previous section all over again, so that it sets right in. So what we did first, if you want to sign up from a page now, right now we're using email and password, using the same page for the login and the sign up. You can implement this on two different pages if you want to, and you can implement this with either the login or the sign up with the button. You can use an intent to go to a different activity if you want. So let's just say what we want first. We have an email. So we get an email from the ed text email. If you remember, how we did that was we used the ID, we got the text, and we converted into string. Again, for the password, we did it the same way. Are you following along, folks? So for the password, we did the same, dot text and toString. Both of these are ready now. What we want to focus on is getting the Firebase authentication in place. So Firebase auth. Now we want to get the instance, and this way we'll get access to that instance of the Firebase auth. And in this particular segment, we want to create a user. So let's see if we have a function already in place for that. Do we? Yes, we do. There's a create user with email and password option, and we're going to focus on that. And this also requires two things right now. It requires an email. Oops. Okay. Email, and the other one, it requires a password. Either way, next up we want to do, again, we want to get our results right in. So we have success, a failure. We can also add a canceled listener. So let's say first we focus on the success bit. Let's say it was a success, right? And this is how we would want to access to it. Then we want to check if it was a failure or not and get that exceptions in place so that we can handle all the exceptions that we get, and also another on cancel listener. Pretty easy, pretty simple, easy steps. Right here, you can again do, so this is particularly very something which is focused on according to your application. So if you want an on success listener, on failure, or an on cancel thing, let's just say on success, you want to move to a different page and you want the users to log in and check their ID, right? So the on success listener can take them back to the login page if you want. The on success listener can take them back to their profile page if you want, or an on success listener would take them back, like show up a button, let's say, and you can when you click on that button, it'll take you to a different page. Like anything you want to do it's your own arena, right? You can write the code for it. But now again, we'll make it simple. We'll just create a toast which says that, okay, which will tell us that you have successfully signed up. So let's say the sign up was successful. Sign up successful. And and an all failure listener, again, we have another toast which says that sign up was not successful. We can also print our trace to know that, this is something which did not work, and we can check if what was the reason that it did not work. This is something which will come up in your logcat of when you run your Android application. And there is an on cancel listener. Again, you can use this. You can add a toast to it. You can check what went wrong, why was it on cancel, and take to a different page if you want to. Give the users more context on why this happened. Pretty easy and similar code, and it works practically the same way. So you have the sign up feature and the login feature in place. The other thing that you can check is through this instance, you can check what your current user is. So I'm not writing the code for that. The code for that is already written because it's not some. I thought that this is something which is quite normal, not normal, but quite something which is very easy to implement. So it's like if you want to get details of the current user, all you need to do is type in current user, and then you can get the UID, display name, email, phone number, anything that the user has entered. In this case, they've entered only the email. The UID is auto-generated, so the UID and the email would have the information. Rest everything might be null. It all depends on what information that they've added and what details you've got when you registered. Right. There's also a sign out feature. So this is just I've added in a function. If you want to implement the sign out feature, it's Firebase or get instance sign out. And yeah, sorry. So it's Firebase get instance sign out, and this is something that I've not implemented yet because I wanted to take you all to take a chance at this one. All you need to do is create a button in your activity main file, which is in your profile, and with that button, use the same on click listener, and this is how you can call out the function, the sign out function, and simple. That's how you sign out of your Firebase. So very easy, 3 things that we did. We signed up, we logged in, and we did a sign out. So let me just run the build quickly right here. And before I'm doing that, and while that build is running up, yes, while that build is running up, we would want what we would want is that I would demo you how the app functions right now and show you what's on the console. We would also think about further next steps that we have right here so that it's easier for you to follow along and try it out. So if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section. Else let's review all those docs together and review what all steps we implemented. All right, folks. Meanwhile, the build is running. It'll take just a few moments, but as soon as it's ready, I can share the screen and show it to you. So the question is, Firebase is a cloud service? Yes. So Firebase actually is something which is hosted on the Google Cloud platform. You can use the Google Cloud credits for your Firebase, if I'm not mistaken. I think I did it the same way. But I mean, there are a lot of features that you can use for free without those credits. For example, real-time database is one of them. For the first 25,000 users for your application, Firebase is also free for the authentication feature, post which it charges you, but it's like a minimal amount that you can pay, and you can check out what those what those payment options are for you all if you want to work upon scaling up your application. But it's a pretty easy feature to use in, and I, for one, absolutely love playing around with Firebase because there are tons of features that you can do. There's the authentication feature, which we just saw. There is the real-time database, which I'm absolutely a fan of because it makes my life so easier. And then there is the analytics feature, which tells me what my application, what are my user analytics, how many users sign into my app daily, and how many of them are active users which are actually using the app, and stuff like that. So it gives you a lot of access if you're starting as a developer and if you're trying out just some different features. It's absolutely easy and great to start with because the documentation is pretty detailed. So you just want to have a look at it, try it out, and then follow the steps along. This is what the documentation I refer to. I've added that in the comment section if you want to have a look at it. It's pretty simple. Just follow along, follow through it, and you'll say it through that one. And with that being said, our application is quite ready. Let me just share my screen for the application window, and my Android emulator is ready. So as you can see, this is my Android emulator, and I've added my email and my password to it. What I need here is either I can do a login or a sign up feature right now. So what I can show you is right now, if you add your password, let's say right now it's of 6 digits. that's what Firebase asks the passwords minimum setup to be. So if it's less than 6 digits, it'll show you a login unsuccessful uh, page, or it can also show you it. You can also find out in your stack trace that why was it a failure, and that would be because of 4 digits. But for now, let's just say we try to log into it, but a user is still not created. So it says simply login unsuccessful, which means that it was not signed up. And it's not printing the stack trace right now, but you can use that stack trace to actually give the users a more context and why they can't log into your application. If you click on the sign up button, it will say sign up successful, which means that the sign up is successful. And now I'll show you the changes on the console. You remember that there were no users on our console when we signed up, right? So once we look at this, once I take you back to the console, I'll show you how how the change is implemented there. Now, if you want to log in, we click on this button and it says login successful, which means that our app is functioning properly and the login was successful. Now, this was just a simple demo for you for me to show you how this feature works. Again, right now we created a toast, so that was like in the bottom of the screen you could see a login successful or an unsuccessful toast, which is just a simple text explaining that the process is done or not done. You can add your own feature to it, create create another activity and then add more code to it, and take your users to a different page in your application. Or you can try out another thing if you want, give a pop-up, an alert dialog, anything that you want to do. Let me show you what changes were made to your console meanwhile. Okay, all right, so let's just see what changes were made to your console. There you go. Now this is what your console looks like. Let's just go on this users tab. So I'm in the authentications tab and then another one in the users tab. Let's see right here. I'm in the authentication tab and I'm in the users section of it. So as you can see that my email is already registered. It says the created time, the signed in time. It has a user ID. It has a provider. And you can also search for users if you want to. You can add a user. There are other options if you want to disable someone's account, if you want to reset their password, delete account, etc., etc. You can also add these features. You can also give users the power to do this through the same functions that we just explained and talked about. So these are pretty simple features and basic features that we try to implement for the Firebase part of it. And these are some of the other things that you can try, which I just mentioned. All right, I see that there's a few questions. What's the Auth app? Auth app is the name of the application that we created right now. So it's actually, you can name your application anything. For now, for the demo purposes, I just named it Auth app because it's like an authentication application that I'm creating. What can be good alternative of Java and Kotlin? So I love Kotlin, so instead of using Java mostly, so I do code in Java a lot when I'm working on my data structures and algorithm skills. But on the Android application point of view, I prefer Kotlin because it's easier to use and it makes it saves us a lot of time, and there's tons of other features too. I mean, it can give you a list of other features that they have. So Auth application is basically authentication application that we just created. So pretty easy and simple features that we just did. I hope that you could see all the changes that we did and how we implemented them up on screen. So up on the screen. Now what I can do for you is let me guide you through the entire documentation to help you out and give you a brief overview on what we did and what are the next steps and what you can do for your application. All right, let's see. Authenticate with Firebase. Yeah. So there you go. Now, as you can see that we are on this particular section where we have tried to implement all of these features, try to follow all of the steps, and we created a password-based account. We use the Firebase authentication, and this is another thing that you can use in Kotlin, which is not something which is not the same that you can use in Java. So there's a late init part there's a late init thing which you can add to your Firebase auth. What it does is it initializes the variable later in your code when it actually is using that. So for example, auth is initialized and formed when Firebase auth when it equals to the Firebase auth. So when you initialize Firebase auth, only then it is initialized and it's created. Right. So this is another on start activity which we did not include. You can try this out. So this basically what this particular piece of code does is that if your user is already signed in, it will not ask them to log in or sign up later. This is a feature that you might want to add. If you are, creating a social app or another application, let's say for which is like a pretty basic notepad or something like that, anything of that front. But if, let's say, you're creating an app which stores their invoices and transactions, you might want the users to log in again and again or create a pin for that purpose. So this is the code which you can use according to your own requirements, your own app requirements. For this one, if you are the current user, we'll get the current user. I also demoed this feature in my code. So you get the current user, and if that code is not null, that is when we update the UI, or else we just go ahead and don't do anything, ask them to sign in or a feature, right? So this is the code that we implemented. They added an on complete listener. We added the on success and on failure listener. They're doing the same thing. They're actually creating the user, logging it. We created a toast, and this update UI section is what I told you. You can create another intent, take them to a different screen if you want to. So again, these are some of the basic things that we did. If the sign-in fails, you can display the message, whatever the exception was, the task exception was. And this is how we show our toast. We make the text and we show our toast. This is the same thing, practically the same thing that we did. Let's just quickly see. Yeah, this one. So this is another thing that we did. We implemented the sign-in feature. The on-start remains the same here. The sign is sign in with email and password, and then again, they're updating the UI or they're giving a toast. Practically all of this code is something that we just demoed. So it has all of the basic features that we wanted to implement, but we might want to go above and beyond. What I mean by that is we might want to give them an option to reset their password if they forget that. We might want to give them an option to, authenticate their email so that we know that nobody applied through, some rough jargon and they actually had the correct email in place, and we actually have like active users for our application and not fake profiles. So this is how we want to do that. And again, the sign out feature is pretty easy. It's Firebase or sign out that we can use. So there are tons of other things that you can do with this. With only all of these features that I'm talking about is just for the email and password authentication. If you want to try it out, you can also add another Google authentication feature. Let's say if you want to give the users to have an option and sign in from their Google accounts. Again, a different bit of code you might want to write. There will be an amazing video for you to get started with that, but the first steps remain the same. So for now, these are the first steps that we want to add. Another dependency that they did add for this one is the Google Play Services authentication, and then this is the SHA fingerprint bit that we already did. So we're good on that front. Again, we want to add it to the Firebase. We want to give them the Google sign-in options, and we're going to use the builder for that. So use the Google sign-in builder, request the ID token, request the email, and that's how you build it. It's pretty easy code that you can use, and they also create a sign-in content. The Google sign-in also has their own UI. If you don't want to create a UI for your application and you don't want to give that, the Google sign-in feature also has its own UI which they use. So then all you need is to write this code, implement the credentials on the credentials page, on your own login credentials page, and that's how you can move past this. All right. So on the activity result, we would want to check if we were able to sign in or not. So this is how we do sign in. This would be a code that we just received after our sign in, and then we sign in we use that to move on to different pages. So it's an intent for us to move on to the different page. So it's pretty easy, basic code. It's just a result from the intent, what happened after we started an activity for login and our Google was logged in. If it did, it'll give us a sign-in code. If it's not logged in, that means that's an exception that we have to handle, that Google sign-in failed. Now, again, as you can see, now this code might look familiar to you now, doesn't it? So basically, there is the Firebase authentication that was initialized, and on start, it's checking if the current user is joined in or not. And then this is another feature, which is your Firebase auth with Google token, where you will have that ID token present, and you check and you sign in and check if the task was successful or not. They've also used the same thing. So it's like a pretty similar code to the one. The only difference for this particular segment is that you want to use the Google Sign-in Builder, and you want to use that to get their email and password authentication word, right? So that's more or less it for the steps for adding an authentication feature to your email with your email and password. If you want to try out Google, there's that. If you want to try out your LinkedIn or probably GitHub, I think LinkedIn is not available with that, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, but you can try out GitHub, you can try out Twitter, you can try out Yahoo. If you want to try out phone number, there's that too. If you want to try out any other particular segment, there's also a button which says custom auth system, which is like if you want to create an own auth system for your own application, you can use that option. So again, these are a couple of things that you can do. The code is up for review, and once we are through with this code, since I'm also done with the final step for this challenge to complete this challenge is to visit the dev post link for March challenges and make a submission. If you make a submission, we know that you have participated in the March challenges. And so if you've learned something new and if you've liked all of these workshops that we're conducting, please go ahead and make a submission on dev post. I can share the link with you all in the Discord channel post this workshop. So make sure that you go ahead and make a submission on dev post for your challenges and show off your skills, because for after this, I'm absolutely sure that you would if you got starting with Android applications, you would love to jump into it and try out different things, because the basic build remains the same. And the best thing about Android is there's a function which can implement your basic feature, and if you're using it the right way, you can create wonderful Android applications. You can go above and beyond and make a more powerful application than what your application is right now. So add this additional level of security and complete your applications. I can't wait to see all your submissions up on DevPost. And I think that's it for all for this live session where we tried to add authentication to your Android app. I know a lot of you were beginners. I hope that you actually did not feel overwhelmed, because I tried to give you a visual idea through the documentation, and I also tried to guide you through the code and type in code as we speak. So again, both of those ways I tried to what we wanted for you is to learn and follow along with all of us as we try to debug our issues, and we also tried to completely add that feature. So I hope you all had a great time. I hope you all enjoyed. And thank you so much for joining in, folks. I'll see you around at another one of those March challenges. But if you want to try out something, we have a couple of challenges lined up for you tomorrow. Let me tell you what those are. I think tomorrow we have, yes. So tomorrow we have if you want to use machine learning to predict the stock market, we have a session tomorrow by none other than Ayush. He's great. He's awesome. So if you're trying to learn about machine learning, if you're trying to get started, and if you want to, follow along with Ayush tomorrow, please make sure you join in. We've got you covered in that live stream. We'll cover the basics of machine learning. We'll get started by using a tutorial. We'll predict the stock market. So if you want to try it, if you want to work on that, come back tomorrow for that segment and join Ayush tomorrow. All right, friends, that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining in. Have a good day and have a great month of learning with March challenges. So I'll see you around. Chara, see ya. Bye-bye.